What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing today? I don't know about you guys. Before we get into anything, I don't know about you. I'm still feeling very... I still, yesterday it still feels really surreal to me. Like it kind of didn't happen. You know what I mean? Everything just feels very, very strange right now. So it's still very I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like I woke up this morning, the first thing I did is go on Twitter straight away. Went, okay, let me just double check that everything is real. Let me double check everything's real. Everything actually happened yesterday. I go on Twitter, I go straight to Man United's profile. I'm like, welcome home, Cristiano. It's real. It's real. Cristiano Ronaldo is coming home, guys. Oh, thank you. Gosh. Big up to everyone that's in the chat today. What we're going to do is we're going to go for about half an hour or so, right up until the City played earlier against Arsenal. I'm not going to go there, guys. We're all positivity. We're going to go to just before the sort of Liverpool-Chelsea game, I think. We've got so much to talk about, though. I don't know how on earth I am going to be able to cram it all into about 30 minutes because we have transfers to get to today. We've got an update about Diogo Diallo, about Ahmad, his future. We're going to talk about, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo, and somehow, if we can, we're going to preview tomorrow's game because there is a game tomorrow, guys. This is the thing that I keep forgetting, and I think everyone keeps forgetting is there is actually a game that's on tomorrow. So it's crazy. I can see the chats here. Everyone's saying big up. How's everybody doing? Of course, once you're in the house, as Flex likes to say, once you come through the front door, smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. This is the time to subscribe, guys, to be honest with you, because Ronaldo's coming home. All of this craziness is going on right now. We've got the game tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have, obviously, KG with the match view. Then you can go to the match reaction with me after the game. That goes straight into the fan views with Flex, who, of course, is going to be in the ground inside Molineux. Then outside the ground with all of the fans there getting the opinions on the fan views. So it's going to be just craziness going on in the next couple of days or so. Then, of course, next week is transfer deadline day, which goes straight into what we're going to talk about first. And that is, of course, transfers, because it is a transfer update, and we have an update when it comes to Diogo Diallo. Now, this is a really interesting story. Because earlier today, reports came out of Sky in Germany saying that there had been this big breakthrough in negotiations between Dortmund and Manchester United for Diogo Diallo. Now, basically, Manchester United's stance throughout all of this when it comes to negotiations has been that if they're going to let go of a right back, they want to get a replacement in. We want to get a replacement in. We're not going to put ourselves in a situation where we've only got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, especially since we've let Brandon Williams go out on loan. So that was kind of the situation there. So earlier today, Sky in Germany reported that there was a breakthrough in negotiations between Dortmund and Manchester United for Diogo Diallo. Both clubs agreed on a loan plus obligation to buy yesterday. The deal wasn't done, though. United need a replacement. So this is a peek behind the curtain here, guys. So I was talking to Flex. We're all talking today. What should we do? What should we do in terms of the video? What should we do in terms of what we're going to talk about? And we said, well, Diogo Diallo. Well, then suddenly things changed pretty rapidly because it was then reported by Dominic Booth from Manchester Evening News that Diogo Diallo is likely to remain as a Manchester United player beyond Tuesday's transfer deadline. Thus, a deal for Kieran Trippier remains unlikely. Hold that thought because it continues. It had then been reported by Fabrizio Romano, who of course is the guru when it comes to all things transfers, and he basically put an end to all of it. This is what Fabrizio Romano had to say, quote, Manchester United have made a final decision. Diogo Diallo will stay. He's non-transferable. Club and Solskjaer are very happy with Diallo. They trust him for present and future, so he's not leaving. Borussia Dortmund approached Manchester United as many other clubs, but no way. So Diogo Diallo is not leaving. Now, Romano did say, and it means that unless there are unexpected proposals or moves, Kieran Trippier will not join Manchester United this summer. Atletico Madrid were always asking for a €40 million price tag. It's never really been close. He put the little quotation marks around the whole close deal. So it looks like Diogo Diallo's staying and Kieran Trippier's not coming in. We kind of always knew that, to be honest with you guys, didn't we? We kind of always knew the situation when it came to Kieran Trippier. I felt previously, and look, to be honest, it's on the channel, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. I felt that the Kieran Trippier deal would happen. I really did. I thought the deal would happen, and I thought the reason that it was going to take so long is because basically, it was a case of it being a really easy deal to do. I thought this isn't going to take that long. The reason why it's going to be right at the end, the deadline day signing, is because it's not going to take that long to do. I think the situation has always been a bit complicated by the fact that Atletico always wanted that 40 million euros, which in reality, I mean, how old's Trippier? Is he 30? He's in his 29, 30. And it's going to be funny because whenever you start quoting prices, people are going to say, well, you're paying all these wages for Ronaldo. Let's leave that at the door. The Ronaldo whole thing, that's a different conversation. We'll leave that out of it. The price, I think, always for Manchester United was too high. It had been reported that Solskjaer wanted competition for Aaron Wan-Bissaka this season, which is needed because, let's face it, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I like him. I think he's a good defender. But there were times last season where I think he was suspect. And those are facts. I think Diogo Dallo had a decent season, right? He had a decent season at AC Milan. I think, and this is kind of the confusing part of it, and I'll get my pen. This is how serious I'm being, right? I think, you can't have a stream without the pen. I think that when it comes to Kieran Trippier, if Kieran Trippier had come in, I think he would have played more games than Diogo Dallo will play this season, if that makes sense. I think that Solskjaer obviously wants Wan-Bissaka to be pushed, and I think, to be honest, if Kieran Trippier came in, I think we would have been looking at a playing time that would have been split 50-50, to be honest with you. I think that's what we would have been looking at. But now this kind of saga when it comes to Trippier, is he going to come in? Isn't he going to come in? That was always dependent on Diogo Dallo because obviously we would be in a situation where we'd have 3 right-backs at the clubs and it wouldn't happen. So Solskjaer says he wants Aaron Wan-Bissaka to have competition this season. I guess that competition is going to be Diogo Dallo. The issue would be now when it comes to Solskjaer, isn't it? It's kind of not put up or shut up, but it's kind of a situation now whereby you say, okay, you've said that you're very happy with him. The club have said that they're very happy with him. You've said you want competition for Aaron Wan-Bissaka this season. That's fine. If that's the case, you've got to play him. You've got to play him then. Now, Wan-Bissaka, if he remains in form, then obviously he's the first choice right back. But if we do see a situation like up points last season, where Wan-Bissaka is a little bit off it, where Wan-Bissaka isn't up to the standard that maybe we would like to see, then give Dallo a chance. I mean, let's face it, last weekend against Southampton, and we are going to get into a match preview if we have the time, but we are going to get into a match preview. Look, Wan-Bissaka didn't play well last weekend. I think that's objectively reasonable to say that he did not play well last weekend. There have been question marks about his ability to go forward. I think the question marks about him defensively are nonsense. I do think he has something to say about not knowing what's over his shoulder. There's a lot of the times where the ball will come past him. He has no idea who's behind him. No idea who's behind him. And that's incredibly frustrating. But obviously I think the big thing would be him going forward, which he does need to improve on. And Dallo, Dallo does, I think it's even up for debate that Dallo maybe offers more going forward. I mean, you can let me know in the live chat what you think about that. You can let me know who you would rather play. Because our right-backs this season are going to be Dallo and Wan-Bissaka. Solskjaer's first choice, obviously, is Wan-Bissaka. But given Dallo is staying now, it's now a situation whereby Dallo's got to fight for his place. And Wan-Bissaka's got to make sure that he fights for his place. And I just hope this isn't a situation whereby, look, as I mentioned before, if Kieran Trippier came in, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka would be like, actually, whoa, I've really got to up it because if I don't play well, this guy was playing in European Championship finals this summer. He's got quality. He won La Liga with Atletico last season. I need to make sure my performance levels are up here. Now that Trippier isn't coming in and he knows, yeah, I'm number one. I'm the number one choice here. Maybe that pressure's off a little bit. Which would be interesting. Quite a lot of people saying Dallo. Nasser's saying Dallo is class. Play him at home versus the teams that sit back. Big Sinner says Aaron Wan-Bissaka don't need to if you've got Sancho on the right wing. Show United says Dallo deserves a chance. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's defensive position has been terrible. A lot of people have been very interesting. Imran Omar says Aaron Wan-Bissaka did more going forward last week than Luke Shaw, so disagrees. It's all about opinion here on the channel. Bogdan says Ollie doesn't like Dallo. This is the reason why we don't see him. Thuto says Ollie doesn't like Dallo for a reason. So it's actually quite split. It's interesting. And I guess the general consensus is that maybe Ollie doesn't trust him, which again kind of does go into my point, like I was saying before. If Kieran Trippier, if we put it this way, if we'd agreed a deal for Dallo to leave the club and we'd have brought Trippier in, and make no mistake about it, the reason that Dallo is staying is because we can't, or we're not going to do a deal to bring Trippier in. I think that changes things. I think it's going to be a really interesting situation in how many games Dallo does play this season. Because, again, if it was Trippier, I think he would probably play more. I think he would play more than Diallo will play this year. So that's very interesting. It's an interesting situation, certainly, for Solskjaer, isn't it? Now, I do want to get on to Amad Diallo, because we have some interesting information about Amad Diallo. So Solskjaer yesterday in his press conference confirmed that Amad will spend the 2021-2022 season out on loan, but we don't know who. It's like a weird whodunit kind of situation. We don't know who that club is. All that we do know is Amad is going out on loan. As to where, who, we don't know. So we're going to have to do, guys, we're going to have to be a bit like Sherlock here. I don't know why I'm rubbing my chin. That's not Sherlock, is it? I guess I'm trying to be detective here. We're going to have to figure out, if I had a magnifying glass, we could do a little bit of a hunt, which club Amad's going to go to. So Fabrizio Romano has tweeted saying Feyenoord have now joined the race, with many clubs approaching Manchester United for Amad Diallo on loan. Talks are ongoing. Feyenoord are pushing, but Premier League and Bundesliga clubs are still in. Final decision to be made in the next hours with players' camp. Now, the interesting thing about that tweet is that the way that Ollie was kind of phrasing it was that the deal had already been agreed with another club and that a decision had been made. They were kind of just waiting on that club to announce it. So I don't really know. I don't really know the situation as to which club it would be. There's been lots of rumours, haven't there, about Crystal Palace. And I didn't see the final result because I was getting ready for the stream, but I saw that Crystal Palace were drawing 1-1 with West Ham today. You can let me know in the live chat, actually. How did they get on? I don't know. I was prepping for the chat. But I would prefer, to be honest with you, guys, I would prefer that it would probably be a Premier League club that Amad goes to. I think if we're going to truly see the best in Amad Diallo, I want to see him get tested in the Premier League. I want to see him get tested against Premier League quality clubs. I want to see him, if he has that ability, which I do think he has, that ability to perform at a consistent level in this league every single week. I would prefer that he goes to a Crystal Palace. I know there have been rumours about possibly Sheffield United. I can see that in the chat. When it comes to the chat saying 2-2, okay, so that's an interesting, good result for Palace, actually, isn't it? It's a great result considering what West Ham have been doing in the league recently. I think Crystal Palace would be a really good loan for Amad. I think that's exactly the level that he needs to be at. I'm not interested personally in seeing Amad Diallo go out on loan to the Championship or go to Sheffield United, even if it's a Sheffield United that maybe would be contending. I don't know. Previous tweets from like Romano and all the people in the know have been saying that Amad Diallo obviously was expected to go out on loan. That we do know now. The previous report said that Palace had asked for him. Also Sheffield United, but Diallo only wants Premier League clubs, which I think is the right move, to be honest with you guys. I think is the right move. Let me know in the live chat, who would you like to see Amad Diallo go on loan to? If we're talking Premier League, because again, Romano's saying Feyenoord and he's saying Bundesliga clubs. The positive thing with a Feyenoord or a Bundesliga club is that he will play. Depending on what that Bundesliga club is, if he goes to Feyenoord, he will play. He will play every single game, probably. He'll play a full season at a high level, which is what you like to see. The issue sometimes with loan moves to a Premier League club, it's not always guaranteed that they play. Unless they figured out some kind of agreement with the club that, hey, he's got to be playing X amount of games, or he's got to be playing X amount of minutes per season, all that kind of stuff, then maybe then that can work out. But sometimes in the Premier League, you see those circumstances, don't you, sometimes, where a Premier League club will get a player on loan, they just don't play him. Then the loan's redundant. Now, obviously, you could terminate it in a January, but you still lose out for, 3 months or something like that. I really like the idea of him going to a Crystal Palace. Again, from what Romano is saying, there are Premier League clubs interested in him as well as clubs abroad. I think the best move for him personally is a Premier League club. Show United saying West Ham, Crystal Palace, Brighton. Savran saying Brighton. Mahir saying Bundesliga has no intensity, which is interesting. A lot of people are saying Premier League clubs. Kristen says Palace or Villa. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a Premier League move for Amad, and I think that probably would be the right move for him right now. Again, he's only interested, they're saying, in a Premier League move, which I think is the right move for him. So that one's certainly going to be interesting. I would assume, and again, don't hold me to this, I would assume we'll probably hear something about that club by the end of today, maybe tomorrow. I mean, Romano's saying that the decision will be made by the by the player. And it's basically the ball's in the player's court. Essentially what United have said, if you read between the lines here of what Solskjaer said yesterday and what's come out today, if you read between the lines, essentially the discussion is Ahmad's going to go out on loan. He's just got to decide where. Solskjaer made a big deal in his press conference yesterday, talking about it having to be the right club and it having to have the right philosophies and the right ambitions and all that kind of stuff for players out on loan. So I would hope it's a Premier League club. And this is the thing, as we get closer to deadline day, not that Amad Diallo, by any stretch of the imagination, should be a panic loan for anyone, but certainly after this round of games, in the Premier League, you will have clubs that maybe don't get a good result today or this weekend, or feel like they need something a little bit more, and then they'll come in for Amad Diallo. But as of right now, Romano and all those others are saying it will probably be decided today. Super chat from Tabaraz says, why loan Amad, Sal, Lingard and James? Well, I think the situation is when it comes to selling Lingard and selling James. Look, there was a report that comes out today. I've got the report in front of me somewhere, where it basically says that the people that are going to leave Manchester United this summer, it's going to be not be Diallo, it's going to be Amad on loan, and possibly Jesse Lingard as well. That's the one that certainly is up in the air. I think when you just look at the competition right now, when it comes to obviously Sancho being in, Ronaldo coming in does change things as well, because Greenwood isn't going to get as much time as the number 9, which we thought he would previously. So that kind of shifts him back out to the right. That puts him in competition with a Jadon Sancho. If you just look at it in reality, it's just very, very, very unlikely, isn't it? It's very unlikely that we're going to see Amad play this season. And I don't want to be in a situation whereby we're going to tell you what, he can be a great player. He can really be a great player, but he just needs game time. How often do we see that? How often do we see that with people like Jude Bellingham? Me and Flex spoke about it before, of young players that are available, and we're like, they should come to Manchester United. I'll be so excited to see them come to Manchester United. They turn us down for a particular reason, because it's difficult to get in the first side, or we don't give them the opportunity to get into the first side. And I don't want to be seen, or certainly as a fan, I don't want to see the perception of a club of, we sign these young players and we just never play them in the end. I would rather them go out on loan and then force the option of being like, I just had a great season in the Premier League, or I just had a great season abroad. Now you've got the decision whether to play me or not. Now, the counter argument to that could be, you've got a Lingard who did go out on loan last season. He had a very good spell on loan, and right now it doesn't feel like it means anything. The interesting thing about the whole Lingard situation, when it comes to, he still could be the name that leaves this summer, like the big name in terms of a big transfer fee. We're talking probably like 25, 30 million. The interesting thing about that is that Solskjaer said in the press conference yesterday, look, if Jesse didn't have COVID, then we would have started him against Leeds. He said that he trained really well. He was very happy with him in pre-season, and if Jesse didn't have COVID, that was going to happen, basically. So that's certainly interesting, I think, that he was saying that Jesse has a part to play and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think that one's over yet. I really don't think that one's over yet when it comes to Lingard. I think that, look, if West Ham put in a bid, and I think maybe this is kind of the thing when it comes to Lingard, if West Ham put in a bid, let's face it, of 25, 30 million pounds, we'll probably accept it. I think we'll probably accept it. Considering the options that we have now with Ronaldo coming in, you're talking Ronaldo, Cavani, Sancho, Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, all of those attacking players, Greenwood. How many games realistically is Lingard going to play? Realistically, how many games is he going to play? So given that would be the situation, maybe Lingard sees the writing on the wall. But then again, I guess you have to look at the other side of it. Maybe Jesse Lingard looks at the situation and says, look, I want to be around Cristiano Ronaldo. Right? I want to be around Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo comes back. Maybe just me being around the squad with him will make me a better player. I don't know. I think Ronaldo coming in does change quite a lot of things, honestly, in terms of players going out, but also players wanting to stay. Manchester United might be doing things right now. We might be on a bit of momentum. We might actually be going places for once. There's this sort of weird feeling of optimism surrounding our season that's barely just started now, because of Ronaldo, because of Sancho, because of Varane. All of those things do kind of change things, incomings and outgoings. That's why it says the transfer are not finished, because I think there's a lot I think there's a lot to say about that. I truly do. Now, I do want to talk a couple of things about Ronaldo, and then we'll get on to the preview, and because there's so much to talk about right now. So, obviously, we're still buzzing. I pretty much everyone can say, smash a like on the video if you're still buzzing about Cristiano Ronaldo's Manchester United return. So, all of that kind of just blew up yesterday so quickly. We do have some extra details about that now that have come out in the press that I do want to talk about. So, Simon Stone reported that Manchester United see the deal for Cristiano Ronaldo, along with the signings of Varane and Sancho, as proof they're still capable of attracting the very best players. That outgoing Ed Woodward can complete the biggest transfers, and that star names are happy to play for Solskjaer. I do agree. I do agree with that one. I think that, look, there's been this narrative, this weird narrative, hasn't there, about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that he can't attract big players. Oh, how's Ole going to attract big players? How's Ole going to attract players to come to Manchester United? How is he going to attract the best players in the world to come and play at Old Trafford? The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. When you sign Bruno Fernandes, even, people can laugh, but Harry Maguire, he was sought after. City were after him as well. Sancho, Varane, Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are big names. So this whole narrative, Solskjaer, he can't sign big players, or players aren't interested. Why would players want to go for the Norwegian PE teacher? Why would anyone want to play for Solskjaer? Well, they do. They're excited about the project. So this whole idea that Solskjaer can't attract big players, I think, is laughable, to be honest with you. And we're hearing more news and details about how it came about. So the people involved, we already know about Sir Alex giving the phone call. We already know about Bruno getting on FaceTime. We already know about Rio Ferdinand and Patrice Evra being in the WhatsApp. It's now reported by Simon Stone once again that technical director and former player Darren Fletcher was also part of the orchestrated charm offensive to bring Cristiano back to Manchester United. By the time as well, this is fascinating, by the time Solskjaer sat down to do his press conference on Friday, he already knew, guys. He already knew that Cristiano Ronaldo would be returning to Manchester United, which is interesting because before that press conference, you looked on social media, it was only really Rio Ferdinand that was doing the whole memes going, oh, something's about to happen. Nobody else was really talking about it. It was just... It was hope. It was hope and desperation at that point. I can't go. Surely he can't go to Manchester City. That's all it was at that period of time. Oh, I hope we do something. And Solskjaer, when he sat down, he knew the deal was basically done. And if you watch that press conference back, it takes on a whole new life in terms of context, in terms of him knowing in reality what was going on. And they played it perfectly. You can talk about Manchester United and their PR and their commercial departments. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it yesterday. The big discussion now, of course, is why does it take this long going forward when it comes to transfers? It took a year to sign Jadon Sancho. That whole Rafael Varane, whatever happened with that, whilst that was done quicker than Sancho, it still was very drawn out. In the past, when it comes to signings last year, very, very drawn out. We signed Cristiano Ronaldo in 90 minutes yesterday. So I'm very much over, well, these things take time, it's a process, all that kind of stuff. We signed Cristiano Ronaldo in about 90 minutes. So the next time we're struggling to sign players, or we're going, well, these things take time, it's a bit of a process, we're in a bit of a haggling kind of situation. No, done with that. I'm done with that. Well, I'm done with that narrative. I'm done with the narrative that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't attract big players, and I'm done with the narrative that these transfers take time. I'm just not having that. I'm not having that anymore. Now, interesting about Ronaldo, because obviously people have been talking about his contract. People have been talking about, is he worth it? 36 years old. One thing I will say before we move on to a quick preview of tomorrow's game is that the Manchester United share price increased by 9% since Cristiano Ronaldo was announced. This increased the club's value by roughly $300 million on the New York Stock Exchange. I think that transfer probably paid for itself. I think that's, what was it? Is it like something like 20 million euros in terms of a transfer fee? And the wages are the wages. They are high. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. But the club's valuation, their stock price went up by 300 million. Oh my goodness. Now, I know they're just numbers, and I know it's just the stock exchange, and some people could argue that's not even real money. It's not even real money. It's just numbers on the screen. That means something. That means something. 9%. That really, truly does mean something, especially in the eyes of people like the Glazers. We can talk about the Glazers going off. They finally pulled their hand out their pocket. They finally did this. They finally did that. In reality, the Glazers, people wondered, why did it take United so long to make an interest? Were they really going to let Ronaldo go to City? All that kind of stuff. I think what actually happened here is that they were looking on thinking, I mean, is he worth it? Is it properly worth it? They had, the Glazers and Ed Woodward, they got their numbers people. They went, dude, just check the numbers. Check the numbers. Is it worth it? Should we bring him in? Is it actually worth it for him just check the numbers? And they checked the numbers, went, boop, they got the calculator out, boop, 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 boop. And they went, actually, it's definitely worth it. Absolutely, it's worth it. In all of different metrics, whether it's stock prices, whether it's shirt sales, whether it's social media metrics, that tweet saying welcome home Cristiano has been liked nearly 2 million times. It's crazy. It's crazy numbers. And on top of that, let's get back to just talking about football here. Everyone's saying, Cristiano Ronaldo, he can't do it anymore. He's dusted. He's past his peak. He's 36. He scored 29 goals in 33 games last year in Serie A. Okay? We're talking about Lukaku. Lukaku's worth nearly 100 million. Now, obviously, Lukaku's much younger, but come on, Cristiano Ronaldo, he scored nearly 30 goals last year in Serie A. We're not talking about a ham and egg league here. We're talking about a real proper league. He still can do it. He still can absolutely do it. I have faith. And I think people writing him off, whether it's Paul Merson, Graham Souness is writing him off because he's just a bitter old man. Essentially what it is. Because he just can't. He can't give credit and he can't be impartial. That's the problem. That's the problem why people are so just, when it comes to punditry and people don't take these people seriously because they're biased. It's not being objective. It's not punditry. It's agenda. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's agenda. It's jealousy. It's writing people off. They wrote Zlatan off. They write Ronaldo off. Write him off at your peril. Now, is he going to win the league for Manchester United? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to win the league. Is he going to win the Champions League for Manchester United? I don't know. But if you're saying that Ronaldo isn't going to score goals this season, it's just factually inaccurate. Because he has scored goals everywhere he's been, irrespective of what age he is. So people can write him off, but when you write him off, he'll just play better. Now, for the last few minutes here, let's talk about the game tomorrow, because there is a game tomorrow. Be sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe bottom right-hand corner, because tomorrow there's a lot going on when it comes to the match view with KG, match reaction with myself, obviously the fan views with Flex outside Molineux as well. We've got Leeds. We've got Wolves away. I'm so fired up over that Ronaldo rant. That's the problem. I expect us to win. Then again, I expected us to win last week too. So we need a better performance. Obviously, we need a better performance. I think the big questions obviously will be around if Varane and Sancho start. For me, it's a no-brainer. I don't see any excuse for them to not start. Last week, I could kind of see the reason for Varane not starting, even though I would have started Varane and Sancho last week, to be honest with you. So I can understand Ole going, well, it was only 5 days of training and there was delays. Obviously, he was quarantining. He didn't really train with Real Madrid and all this kind of stuff. Sancho was the weird one last week. Obviously, he came on against Leeds. He had minutes against Burnley. He had like 2 weeks of training. So I thought, come on. I was very surprised to see him not start. So tomorrow, it's a no-brainer. Varane and Sancho, they must start. If I was going to name a starting 11, it would probably be this. It would probably be De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Shaw. This is where people, I think, will probably blow up a bit on Twitter tomorrow. I still think he goes with Matic and Fred, which is madness. I don't think Donny plays. Tomorrow, which is madness. We'll touch on that in a second. I think it will be then Pogba on the left, Bruno in the middle, Sancho on the right, and I think Greenwood up front. I think Cavani and Martial will start on the bench. I think Cavani, his rationale will be that he hasn't had long enough. I think Martial, to be honest, he just wasn't good enough last week, and Greenwood was a better striking option when Martial came off. So I think Martial should start on the bench. The Donny situation is madness. But look, if you have any doubts that Ollie maybe doesn't rate Donny van de Beek, last week he brought on Scott McTominay over Donny van de Beek when essentially Scott McTominay had one leg. He had groin surgery this week. He was playing through the pain barrier. He decided to bring on Scott McTominay over Donny van de Beek, who didn't even start last week. And I think social media and I think everyone is going to blow up, but I don't think he plays tomorrow. And which is crazy. It's a crazy one to think, but I think Solskjaer will look at it and say, our record at Molineux isn't great under Solskjaer. The first 2 games he had there, he lost. Now, even though Wolves haven't had the best start this season, they lost their first 2 games. Our record isn't great. We won their 2-1 last season, but that was in May. It was at the end of the season. We had a young side out. Nobody really cared at that point. I think Nuno was out the door. And prior to that, it's 2 losses and 2 draws. And I think that Ollie will look at it and say, our record isn't great. We need to be defensively solid. We need to be defensively sturdy, all that kind of stuff. And I think it will be Matic and Fred. Now, that's not saying that I agree with that. That's not saying that's what I would do. But I think in reality, that's what we're looking at. I think we're looking at a team tomorrow that is Matic and Fred, which to me is crazy, which to me is, I would play Donny van der Beek. And look, Donny van der Beek didn't even make the Dutch squad this week. Louis van Gaal is the new Holland manager, new head coach. He didn't pick him. He said, look, I called Donny van der Beek yesterday. I told him he needs to start playing games. And people were saying, oh, it's just LVG. He's got a United anti-agenda from his time there. And I don't think that's true. Really don't think that's true. I think he's being honest. Donny van der Beek, you're not playing games. You're not starting games. How can I pick you? How can I pick you for the team when you're not getting in the side at Manchester United? And you would think now, because we don't have Rashford, so Pogba will be out on the left. We don't have McTominay because he's out, because he's had surgery. You would think, just because you've got Matic and Fred, surely, Donny will start. I think the answer's no. I really do think the answer's no. Tabraz says, I don't agree with who says we now must win the Champions League or Premier League because we signed Ronaldo. Juventus hasn't won any major trophies the last couple of years. Happy though. I mean, look, they didn't win anything last year, did they? Or I think did they win a cup competition? I don't know. But they came fourth. They struggled last year. He's a goal scorer, and I agree with you. I don't think we're living in a situation where Ronaldo comes in and we win the league, or Ronaldo comes in and we win the Champions League. I think though, arguably, and this is quite a debatable point, what side is better? What side is better? Is the Juventus side that Ronaldo was in, is that better than our United side right now? I think it's a tough one. I think we've got better attacking options. I really do. Because we've got Cavani, we've got Greenwood, we've got Sancho, we've got Bruno Fernandes, we've got Marcus Rashford. I would argue we've got better attacking options. I think our defence is solid now, especially with a Varane. I think our goalkeeper's better. I think Szczesny, it's unbelievable that he's at Juventus still, to be honest with you. Obviously, the midfield, we know about that. But I agree with you in the sense that, we got Ronaldo, so we're going to win the league. That's just ridiculous to say. But he will score goals this season. And last week, we needed someone. We played in moments, but we need someone that has just that little bit of quality. Ronaldo plays in moments now. He doesn't dominate the whole game or anything like that anymore. He just doesn't do that. But he can play in moments. He can just produce a little bit of magic. So that's I think the reason for Ronaldo, and it's other things as well. It's not just football, is it? It's about brand, it's about commercialism, it's about all that kind of stuff. So going back to tomorrow's game, I do think we win. If you ask me for a score prediction, you can let me know your score predictions in the live chat. If you ask me for a score prediction, I could see. To be honest, Wolves haven't started well. I'm going to go with what it was at the end of last year. I'm going to go with 2-1. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester United win. I think it will be difficult at points because obviously, I would love for it to be Varane, Sancho starting and we blow them away. I hope that having Varane and Sancho from the start will change kind of the mentality and be able to grab games by the scruff of the neck, dominate games, not playing moments, not go in and out of games. Tomorrow is going to be a really interesting performance. And I think the big talking point before the game will be the omission of Donny van der Beek, because I think that's going to be the situation. But look, guys, we're going to wrap things up here. It's a relatively short one today, guys, but we're going to wrap it up here because obviously we've got a big match going up. I want to see what's going on with Chelsea and Liverpool today. That's going to certainly be interesting. And, of course, even though it was Manchester City earlier today, it must be said, that Arsenal performance, oh dear. Oh dear. Look, guys, though, be sure to smash a like on the video. As I mentioned, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I'll speak with you again very, very soon. Peace.